No amount of suffering is going to stop these people from supporting this president. There is none. Zero, absolutely nothing. There's no event, no line, no situation, no thing. Nothing is going to stop them from supporting the president.
I fundamentally disagree with this take. No hate to this creator. I don't follow him because I find a lot of his content unnecessarily bleak and alarmist, but he does make some good points and we do agree now and then, but I disagree with this particular take. Speaking as an ex-evangelical raised in a Republican family and somebody whose husband went to a very conservative seminary, and we were part of a very conservative denomination, Presbyterian Church in America, PCA. I was a dyed-in-the-wool Calvinist. I firmly believe that people can deprogram and deconstruct from anything. I don't actually think anybody is a lost cause. Now, do I think it is our job to spend our labor and our energy and pin our hopes on converting people? No, absolutely not. I've said many, many times, you cannot lead that horse to water, much less make it drink. People have to deconstruct in their own time, and there has to be something that gets to the core of them that causes them to question their worldview and to start to peel back the layers of the onion. It's nothing we can do. We can't force their hand. Like, y'all, I used to be vocally anti-abortion. Like, there's hope for everybody. Do I think MAGA is a cult? Yes. Do I think these people have a fundamentally different worldview than you or I? Absolutely. This creator goes on to say that, like, you can't expect them to think rationally. This is why bringing a rational argument to them is never going to be persuasive. Their desperate need to conform everything they take in with their worldview is overwhelming. They definitely are engaging in a sunk cost fallacy, right? This is why they continually move the goalpost, because they think, like, I have invested years in this, man, years in this ideology, in this political system, in this hope that America is going to be made great again. I have become immersed in conspiracy theories, and they drive much of my thinking. I am so invested in this that I cannot begin to absorb any evidence that counters what I believe, because God, I would have wasted years otherwise. It would have been years of my life that I would have thrown away on Donald Trump. So of course it's so hard for them to accept the reality that they have been manipulated and controlled by a narcissist. And add on top of that the layers of misogyny and white supremacy that are so interwoven with those beliefs. So it's not just deconstructing from the cult of MAGA. It is the time that is required to deconstruct from the patriarchy and from white supremacy. Like, yep, that's a really big ask. That is a lot for somebody to have to work through. But I don't think it's a good idea to be doom and gloom and write every single MAGA person off and say there's no hope for these folks ever. I would just ask, what is the point of doing that? What are you hoping for by presenting that argument? If your goal is to encourage people not to waste their time and energy trying to evangelize to those folks, okay, I'm on board with that. I totally agree. I'm at the same place. But if your goal is to dehumanize them and see them as a lost cause, then Right, AOC said the other day that if you're a MAGA who hates her and loves Trump, she is still fighting for your healthcare. She is still fighting for your Social Security benefits. She still is respecting your dignity as a human being. And I guess I just don't see the point in coming at this like all MAGA are lost when we know that that's not true. We know that there are people who leave the movement. Yes, it's a cult. Yes, they have to deprogram. Yes, it is very difficult for them to do so. Yes, we cannot logically persuade these people. We cannot present facts and evidence to them. But we do actually know that one of the things that is effective in helping these people start to deconstruct their hateful ideology, their white supremacy, their misogyny. And I think it's super important that we don't dehumanize these folks and paint them all with the same brush, right? The concept of Make America Great Again is extremely expansive. There's room for all kinds of people with all kinds of beliefs under that god-awful tent. And we know that folks like Will Westmoreland and others who have been trying to reach out to MAGAs in their demographic, right? Will in particular, reaching out to farmers, that those folks can have an impact. They can reach people. We also know that for a segment of these folks, there is a tipping point at which they are getting fucked over hard enough that they start to question their own beliefs and they start to say like, oh, have I been sold a bill of goods? Like, I understand that some people will just continue to accept more and more and more because again, that sunk cost fallacy, they will continue to justify their own oppression even harder when it's not just the folks that they wanted to hurt that are suffering, but it is them as well. A lot of folks will still buckle down. They will still continue to bootlick, but there are folks who will start to break away. We also know that there are folks who can no longer continue to scapegoat and dehumanize other people when they start to have relationships with them, that those interpersonal connections, those help people start to question their beliefs. So I don't actually find this position helpful. I don't actually find it truthful at all. And I do think it's important to remind folks that we don't actually have to convert the 20-something% of people who voted for Donald Trump. That's not actually our job. The 76% of us who didn't, we are more than enough to overcome fascism. See that there in red? 22.7% of the US population, that's who voted for Trump. Now, you could argue a lot of them didn't vote for Elon Musk. And you can argue that the bulk of them did not understand how they were voting for the leopards who eat faces party and are starting to be real surprised when the leopards do indeed eat their face. But look at all of these blue wedges right here. These are all the folks who didn't vote for this. There's enough of us already. We don't actually have to spend that much energy on the folks in that little red wedge. Those blue wedges, we've got to focus on us coordinating, on us working together and working to reclaim our liberty.